Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we are discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 14, Heart of Stone. Odo struggles to free Kira from being trapped inside an expanding crystal, whilst Nog attempts to apply to Starfleet. What did you think?
I liked this episode a lot, and that B-plot sounds ridiculous without context, but they really sold me on Nog wanting to go into Starfleet.
Yeah, he really... the scene with him and Cisco at the end, when Cisco turns him down just to get him riled up, was pretty well done.
Yeah, and he gives that impassioned speech that sold me. I was convinced that he really wanted to go into Starfleet, and his reasons are relatable. They aren't some weird Ferengi custom, and this is a great piece of character building for Nog, which they haven't done at all, really, besides, oh, he's a Ferengi, so that was welcome as well.
Yeah, they even got his jokey Ferengi goofiness on the point. He keeps shaking hands and offering the bribe again and again.
That was an excellent bit of comedy.
Yeah, sometimes the Ferengi joke stuff falls a bit flat. Well, I would say more than sometimes, but sometimes it's fantastic, and that was on point. He keeps shoving the latinum across the desk.
What did you think of this episode upon rewatch?
Oh, this is one that everyone remembers. A lot like The Wire in Season 2, where we learned about Garrick. This one is very revealing about Odo, in particular, that he likes Kira.
Well, we knew that at this point. This just makes it really clear.
Well, there's a difference between being affectionate and outright declaring, I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you, Kira.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Quite a lot happened in this episode, really. We got a serious amount of development for Odo, and also for Nog.
Yeah, Nog has ambition, and he resembles a character now.
He is really short for a Ferengi.
Maybe they don't grow as tall.
No, because Quark and Rom are tall. Actually, they're not that tall.
The lobes weigh them down. I wish I didn't bring up lobes.
Yeah, but they're so waxy. How could you not love them?
Any line about lobes, it's really off-putting.
Well, they bring them up quite a lot. It makes sense. They've got massive ears, so
Right.
they probably mention them.
But when they say stuff like, he doesn't have the lobes, the human equivalent would be, he doesn't have the balls. And that's a weird thing to think about them saying.
No, that makes actually perfect sense, though. That's how they derived it, I think. Because that's a sexist saying, and the Ferengi are sexist, and their earlobes are a sort of secondary sexual thing, like your balls.
And the women have smaller lobes.
Yeah, so that's, I think, what they were going for. He doesn't have the knackers for it.
But Ferengi are gross, and I don't want to hear them talk about their balls equivalent.
Their ear balls.
Their ear balls, yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Doesn't that make you a racist?
Yes.
Okay, well, as long as you accept that, then fair enough.
I'm like Cisco, I'm aware of my predispositions. That was nice that Cisco gave Nog a real chance. He gave him a job to do, and he didn't let his preconceptions make him take certain precautions.
Kind of, but he gave him that job knowing that he might do something. It was a test.
Explicitly a test, which made it weird when he said, well, we know he's a hard worker. I thought, no, you don't. He knows his actions are being heavily scrutinized. You know, if he's being watched, he can present himself as a hard worker.
It's a bit weird because that's part of his regular job. So they already should have known he could do that. And they already know he is a hard worker because he does this for Quark. It's not. The only point of that was to see if he would steal things because Cisco thinks of him as a criminal.
Yeah, he's a filthy criminal, according to Cisco.
Yeah, because Cisco sees old Ferengi that way. Whilst we're talking about Nog, he did use a rule of acquisition. Number 18, a Ferengi without profit is no Ferengi at all.
Which he doesn't seem concerned with.
Yeah, it's almost like the entire species could not homogeneously be focused on it commerce, or the species would not function.
You're ruining his poignant character development.
If it's ruined by saying that, then it's just because it's shallow.
Oh, of course it is. But it's still nice that they are allowing a Ferengi to deviate from the Ferengi template as they should. It's weird to have everyone of a species act the same. And those deviations usually turn out great. Garrick, for example, not like the other Cardassians, although he is in several ways. And it's fine when they share stuff, but they shouldn't all tick off certain boxes of their species attributes.
Yeah, they shouldn't be interchangeable.
Right.
I think the Ferengi were kind of introduced as almost a joke species. Someone that's a threat but kind of goofy. And that's problematic because when you try and flesh them out as a real species, you can't start contradicting yourself. So you end up with odd situations. Like in the previous episode, Nog was being horrendously sexist. You would not be allowed to join Starfleet if you treated females like that.
Well, a certain amount of continuity is nice and expected. They shouldn't be beholden to past mistakes. Otherwise, you're stuck with these sometimes terrible ideas.
But this is Star Trek. If you say something in one episode, then 285 episodes later, you say something else that conflicts, then the show creators will get sacks of letters. They'll get emails nowadays, phone calls, pickets outside, angry mobs with burning pitchforks. It's all got to be consistent on Star Trek. Otherwise, people will have very angry opinions on the internet.
This very episode has a retcon. We saw Odo turn into a dome and be pelted by falling rocks. And before, very early on, we saw Odo be knocked out, which doesn't make any sense.
Season 1, the episode Vortex, he gets hit by a rock on his head, which should just be a lump.
Yeah, he doesn't have a brain to suffer trauma to shut down his body. He's just goo.
Yeah, which in this episode, it makes sense. He gets pelted and he's okay. I imagine if he gets hit enough, he probably could lose form or consciousness or something.
Yeah, his form could be compromised after a certain amount of weight. I could see that, but he shouldn't be knocked out.
Yes. Well, we need to write angry opinions on the internet then. We've got to do it.
Oh, I could explain it.
Okay, go on.
He got better at shape-shifting after visiting his homeworld.
He got better at getting massive rocks dropped on him.
Yes. He practiced. He went into the hollow suites. Computer, drop some rocks on me.
The first few times, he just gets knocked out. Quark walks in an hour later. Sees Odo just unconscious, covered in rocks. Oh,
Yeah.
not again.
Why do you keep doing this?
Or even worse, maybe he does it in his quarters. He rigs up a little rock dropper.
Oh yeah, I forgot he has his special room, which we never saw again.
Yeah, he let Kira see it because he loves her. Ah, I see. It all works out.
We should probably talk about that plot.
Well, the whole Kira, yeah, it was good. Very, very good idea in a way.
Yes. And after moaning about how there was no real sense of urgency in the previous episode, I was glad to have a very obvious reason why they needed to act quickly and solve this right away.
Yeah, or the really bad-looking crystal would consume her. It looked terrible.
Yeah.
It's a shame because it could have looked really cool, but it didn't.
At one point, fake Kira shoots the crystal, which is actually part of the founder. So, is Odo impervious to phaser shots?
Well, we don't know what the phaser was set to.
Ah, okay.
Or she could have made a subtle hole or something, shot through her own crystal part onto the ground.
Fair enough.
She's very good at shapeshifting.
All that practice paid off.
No, but she's really good. A lot better than Odo. She can perfectly mimic people. She can shift without going into liquid.
And she mastered the Bajorn nose.
Mastered everything, even the voice.
Now I'm imagining Odo shapeshifting as Kira with his same voice.
Well, presumably the voice is based on how they form the larynx or whatever they use to generate sound. So presumably Odo can change his voice fairly easily to be higher or lower pitched or more or less gruff or whatever.
He must have watched a film noir movie and the protagonist had a gruff voice and that's what he adopted.
Oh, yeah, I could believe that. He probably watches nothing but film noir. He even said he was reading detective novels that O'Brien
I
gave
love
him.
that.
Yeah.
And then he's confused when he takes something out of the novel and it doesn't play out exactly as it did.
It's really daft because why would he expect it to?
Because he sees humans as moist robots, and if you feed him certain input, you'll get a particular output.
Well, yeah, okay. It's still daft.
I liked it, though.
I have a couple of criticisms about the Crystal plotline.
Go ahead.
Firstly, it's kind of a bit hard to believe that he would pull off the "there's something wrong with this situation" gambit.
Yeah.
If it really was Kira, everything she said was fully explainable. She's in distress. She wasn't quite sure where the guy was, etc., etc. Very easy to explain. And the fact that the sound waves couldn't mash up the crystal, well, they don't know what it is, so...
Right.
There was not enough evidence for him to really make that bet.
The only line that felt off for Kira was already after he outed her when she said something about oh, I said it because I thought it would make you feel better. Kira wouldn't say that, but he already said you're not Kira, so he couldn't use that as evidence.
Yeah, because if it was Kira, she would probably be saying whatever to stop Odo from shooting her.
Yeah.
The other thing that bugged me was at the end, Kira asks what tipped him off, and he just dismisses it, or slip of the tongue, who cares, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But how would she ever be satisfied with that?
Yeah, that's hopelessly vague. Tell me what she said.
Yeah, you would not be satisfied. You'd want to know. And why? How could you say that it's not important? It's the key to the entire solution. I saved the day. How? Don't want to talk about it.
Don't worry about it. It was nothing. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a bit. They should have worked on that scene a little more. That I felt was lacking.
Odo doesn't have a lot of options. He wouldn't lie to Kira. He wouldn't want to, at least.
I'm sure he could come up with something. Some white lie that's halfway there. Kira should have cut her own leg off. How's that for a suggestion?
Well, they didn't realize how dire it was.
Once it grew, though, once it enveloped her leg up to the knee, they should have just lopped her leg off. She can get a new one.
Wasn't there something about not being able to return to Deep Space Nine very quickly? Maybe that was a complication they couldn't afford if they lopped off her leg.
I'm sure they could cauterize it. It would be fine.
Do you just want to see Kira limping along?
No, Odo could turn into a bicycle.
I think part of it is that Odo wanted to save the day and have Kira be fine and intact to prove himself as a worthy mate.
I think part of it is they don't haphazardly chop off their limbs at the first sign of things going wrong.
Oh, that too.
Well, that primarily. Is there a quote from the show which you would like to share with us?
It's been my observation that you humanoids have a hard time giving up the things you love, no matter how much they might hurt you.
Oh, Odo, he's talking about himself.
So he's talking about nothing?
Oh, yeah, that story was weird.
How was it weird?
Well, how did that translate to nothing? That's a completely different concept from an unknown sample. What did they label on an empty jar?
Unknown sample?
Okay, well then, Cardassian language is daft. But I think Odo really is quite a lot more like the humanoids he desperately tries to push away.
Oh, for sure.
He's just weird and grumpy.
You don't have to look too far to find a weird and grumpy humanoid.
Well, yeah, it's Cisco.
I did like the founder investigating Odo, the investigator.
Yeah, she knew a lot about what was going on and had a ship with Maquis stuff and all this sort of stuff in the Alpha Quadrant. So she's come through the wormhole.
She's an excellent changeling.
Well, I think we've said a changeling would make an excellent spy. Obviously, this is true.
Yeah.
She may well have been on Deep Space Nine, I guess.
Except it's teeming with solids, which she finds repugnant.
Yeah, but who's to say that she wasn't there? I mean, she probably was. The amount of knowledge she had, it would make sense, right?
I don't see how else she would have gathered that information.
It's kind of creepy. In The Search, Part 2, the female changeling said she would see Odo again. Now she has.
Will she see him again?
I don't know.
Well, you do, but
Yeah,
I
I know.
don't.
Yeah. It's an unknown, which we can only find out by watching the next episode and also all subsequent episodes.
Shall we do that?
Yes, let's do that right now.
Sounds good.
You know, the end of this episode would have been a lot stronger if they'd given Odo a smoking gun. For example, if the female changeling wasn't aware of Barial's death and it had played out like this.
Odo, please. No, I won't leave you. Why? Because I'm in love with you. So, now you know.
Odo. I'm in love with you too.
What about Barial?
I'll dump his spreading ass when we get back to DS9.
Barial kicked the bucket.
Odo, I can explain.
Good. And you can start by telling me who you are and what you've done with Kira.
Well done, Odo. You really are quite a skillful investigator.
Even the bizarre ending conversation would have been cleaner.
There's one thing I still don't understand. If that founder was trying to test your allegiance to the solids, what finally made you realize the truth?
Well, she eventually made a mistake. She said something I know you would never say.
What was that?
She didn't know that Barial kicked the bucket.
Oh, okay, that makes complete sense. I have no further questions.
Good, good.
Of course, it's easy to suggest such a thing in hindsight. Have a good day, and remember, stay away from crystals.